What's up, guys? Welcome back to the next video in learning Laravel. My name is QD Azdani and you guys watching my channel Croywood. Alright, so in this video we're going to see how we're going to pass data to view from controller. Alright, first thing first, before we begin, you guys make sure you guys in Laravel and you guys fire up your Laravel PHP Artisan Serve. And once this one is out of the way, in the previous video, if you've seen here, we've created a user blade here, and we have created inside the customers folder, and here we have created our route. From route here we want the user, and we created the user controller, and we have here user method. So the display, we have a method display, and from here we are rendering the view. So in order for us to view whatever here inside the user, which we have user details, we can pass the data from our controller. So from these guys here, we can pass data to our view. So how we're going to do that? Make sure if you guys going to come here, and here we're going to create a list. Our instead of here we can put a user names to see how many names we have. And here, if you open your PHP tag here, so we put a PHP, and the first one is we're going to echo. We put a, for example, user name 1, user name 1, and we're going to keep repeating that one. So I'm going to put a echo. I'm going to echo, and what I'm going to echo, break. So you can put break. Alright, so now the user 1, and we're gonna copy this one so a few times. Okay, so I'm gonna come here, and that's the second one, that's the third one, and that's the fourth one. That's enough. So we have 4 users, for example, our 5 users, for example, we're gonna do on the user name 3 and the username 4. Make sure this one's distinct. This one should be say username 1, name 2, name 3, name 4, because we're going to create our array. We can create array from our controller. So now that we render user display here, now the Laravel can come here and look for the user, and once we type user, Laravel gonna go on the user controller and check the method display. And here what we instruct in Laravel to go and check the folder customers and find a user. Make sure you don't have to put a blade. Just to tell you, you can just put a single user.php, and Laravel is quite happily going to accept this one. So Laravel accepts user.php, our user.blade.php, because Laravel uses the blade template. That's a very, very powerful inside the Laravel. And once we get to the next few videos, I'm going to explain about the blade template, which is very, very powerful aspects of the Laravel. It's quite amazing because you guys can inject another view inside these blades. So you guys can create a section, you guys can create a, say for example, footer, header, you can name it, you can create whatever you can, and you can inject your data inside the blade. So that comes in with the power of the blade. So if you look here, we have put a display, and we have put a user. Now we're going to display, because now we put a data. So now we need to add array. So if you have a 1, you can use 1, you can use 2, or you can use 3. It depends. Just like in the previous video we have done with our master. So we're going to create with this one as well. And the first one is gonna we put it. We're gonna see the first one is username 1. So that one's we're gonna copy, and we're gonna put it here. So we're gonna paste it, with the exception of this $sign, and now we're gonna put our double arrow operator, and the first one is, for example, we're putting the user Yazdani. If you want to copy this one again and again, up to you, but just let you know, programmers are lazy people. We don't want to repeat ourselves again and again, but here if you copy paste it, that makes the job a lot easier. So username 4, and the same, this ones we can do, for example, we can do Azad, for example. So this guy is going to come here as Azad, and the third one's gonna come here as for example Michael, and this last guy is gonna come here. For example, we're gonna name it Donald. So we have a user, Yazdani, we have user Azad, and we have user Michael, and we have a user Donald. Now effectively we are returning the view. What is our view? In customers, and inside the customer we have a customer folder, and we have a user, and we have a user, and this returning, we're also returning the data. Keep in mind, we are passing the data from our controller, from the display method, which is this guy to this guy is here, from display here to our view. So that's how we in Laravel we say how you're going to pass the data to the, say, from controller to the user. Okay, so we're going to save all, and we're going to come and see, and you're looking here, you can have a Yazdani, we have a Azad, we have a Michael, and we have Donald. Okay, so if you want, you can create something nice, and say for example you can say good morning, to user, the first user, and then you can say something nice to, say, the user 2, second user. So we put our concatenation operator here, say have a nice day, for example. We put a have a day, and here we can put something nice. For example, we can put say have a wonderful day, and the last one you can put a nice message, enjoy our website, for example. Alright, so we're gonna check, and you're gonna see here that we have put it good morning. That's all our messages. If you want to prominent that one, we can prominent. For example, if you want to put for example H1, make your users for example prominent, we can do so. We can just make sure, don't forget your get concatenations, and we can put a H3 here. So once you wrap this one H3 around your variable, then you can see this one is getting prominent, so like this. So now you can distinguish here. Now it's very nice, good elegant interface we have here. Alright, so what happens if your user have a, for example, ID? For example, we're gonna come here and say we're gonna add ID. How are we gonna go do this? We're gonna put ID, so the ID is here. What happens if your users have an ID, for example, just for the specific users? We don't have an array. What happens? So we're gonna put a, say for example, you want to get rid of this, you can get rid of this. I'm gonna put just one here, and here we just put an ID, for example, user ID. You can simply put an ID, our user ID. We just put an ID, for example. Now we're gonna go here in our CV. We have put a user ID, and we have put a user ID here. For example, now we're gonna come here, instead of array, we're gonna pass something called width. So instead of this guy is here, this guy is here, instead of this guy, we're gonna remove these ones, and we're gonna put a width. So we put a width. Make sure you're gonna use the width a lot, especially with our databases. We're gonna use a width. What we're gonna use here, for example, if you put a ID here, then we're gonna put a, for example, ID, and make sure the next one is gonna be our ID, our user ID, for example. Okay, I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna make it, say, for example, user ID I'm gonna put this one as a user ID, and we're gonna change it as user ID, for example. So we have a parameter here, user ID, and we are going to this view, and we have a user ID. Now we are, keep in mind, if you observe here, we are using width, and make sure that's a name and that's your variable. So we're gonna come here and change this one to user ID. User ID. All right, so now I'm going to repeat again. When you have a parameter here, you put a user ID, and you have a user controller, and you have a method display. We go user controller, and make sure you see here ID. When you put an ID here, make sure you put a parameter, your parameter as ID. So, and we're going to use a width, user ID, and the parameter is user ID, and you can use this variable here. You can use this variable here. You can use it ID here. Alright, so now we're gonna come and save all, and we're gonna come here, say for example the user ID is, say for example 500, and we're gonna see our user ID, or you can put it here, user ID is, say for example user, say for example your user ID is, and we're gonna see here the user ID, your user ID is 500. However, we can issue, say for example 100. Keep in mind, during the course when you learn your Laravel, you're going to use this with a lot. You can use it with say for example with the products. You can use it with your e-commerce, with say for example if you are making a program for school, for college, university, or you are making program e-commerce, or you guys making social media, whatever you guys using, you should be very very familiar with the width. We can pass our user ID, our passes array, or we can pass a lot of things here. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe CryoWood. If you guys have any question or comment, leave in the comment box. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video, and bye.